Welcome to the E-commerce Badassery podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the E-commerce Badassery podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. I've been thinking about the patterns I see among entrepreneurs when the summer hits. I generally see things go one of two ways. Either they step away from their business as much as possible, doing the bare minimum to stay afloat, or they want to take advantage of the summer sales slump to do deep work and accomplish big things. Which one of those is right for you is going to completely depend on where you're at in your business and life and what your priorities are at the moment, and likely changing from year to year. No matter which path you take this summer, I want to help you optimize that strategy. Welcome to part 2 of the Surviving the Summer as an Entrepreneur series. In part 1 of the series last week, episode 280, we talked about how to set yourself up for success so you can step away from the business. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can capitalize on the summer sales slump to make big strides in your business and what I recommend you focus on. In case you're not sure which direction you're going to go, let's talk about why working on your business in the summer is a good idea. The short story is because it gives you plenty of time to prep for Q4 so you can spend the last 3 months of the year working in your business. I promise it's much less stressful to run big campaigns when you've got all your plans mapped out well in advance. Plus, depending upon what it is you're working on and the structure of your team, a lot of this can be done remotely at a not too windy beach or while you're sipping your morning coffee on the balcony at your hotel. All you need to do is carve out some uninterrupted time to focus on the task at hand. It does not have to be all-consuming. While I stand behind working on your business during the summer months, we can't pretend that it doesn't come with its own set of challenges. While you're gearing up for summer vacations, beach days, and more uninterrupted time with your family, so is everyone else. Depending on the projects you're working on, this might not cause any issues, but it's something to keep in mind when you're mapping everything out. Whether it's your team out of the office or that of your external partners, expect the project to take a bit longer to complete thanks to fewer resources and delayed communication times. The best way to combat that is to work in short sprints on one project at a time. This way you can coordinate the schedule and make sure that the project is the priority for everyone that needs to be involved, and that's just a good general practice. Remember that things will take as long as you give yourself to do them, so stick to hard and fast deadlines whenever possible. Now that you're convinced it's a good idea to work on your business this summer, you've got to decide what you're going to focus on. What this looks like for you is going to completely depend on where you're at in your business and your current priorities. But when in doubt, think in terms of prepping for Q4 and you'll be on the right track. If you've been wanting to update your website or know it needs a little optimization, this is a great time to do it. And truth be told, this can be done really quickly. With a bit of pre-planning, you can turn around an entirely new website in a week. I've done it many times for clients. If all you need to do is optimize things with new filters, an updated navigation menu, new product images, you can likely get that done in just a couple of days. If updating your website is on your to-do list, make sure you check the full show notes for a bunch of resources to support you along the way. If you haven't looked at your emails in the last 6 months, it's probably time for a review. Remember, automations are only set it and forget it-ish. And as you have more data, there are inevitably more optimizations you can make to get better results. So you want to keep checking in on these regularly, and you want to get them in tip-top shape before your biggest selling season. We're not going to go deep on this one today because we've talked about it before on the podcast. And yep, you guessed it, there's going to be a whole bunch of resources for you in the show notes. Now, pretty much everything we're covering today can be or is related to Q4 prep. But let's talk about some of the nitty-gritty things you might want to do to prep for the holiday season. The more pre-planning you do and decisions you make now are going to make your life a whole lot easier later. Start off by taking some time to dig into your numbers and results from previous seasons to get a handle on what's done well in the past, what you might have missed out on, and what you might want to do differently. Once you've done that, the next thing I would do is to think through your product assortment for the season. Is there anything new you need to create or bring in to round out your gift options? Are there any best sellers you'll need to stock up on? What are going to be your hero products? Like I always say, bring them in with the best and then sell them the rest. You don't necessarily have to decide down to the SKU at this stage, but you should have a pretty good idea of what you want to focus on from a category perspective. Once you know what products you're going to focus on, you can start thinking through what, if any, changes you'll need to make on your website for this. You don't necessarily have to do the work right now, but you can map out any and all tasks so you can hit the ground running when it's time to implement. Are there going to be new products or collections that have to be created? Do you have a gift guide you need to update or a new one you have to add? At a minimum, you're going to want to at least do a little bit of holiday dress up for your website to help get people in the mood. Whatever that to-do list is going to be, just get it all written out. You can also start to build out your marketing strategy. I would sit down and map out your entire Q4 strategy. When and what promotions will you run? What emails will you send? What can you repurpose from previous years? Friend, if it's been a year, ain't nobody going to remember, so you can just rinse and repeat what you sent last year. Again, you don't have to create everything at this stage, but get your calendar mapped out so you know what you're doing and when, and then you can reverse engineer your deadlines. This is also a great time to start researching and applying to any in-person markets you might want to participate in. Most in-person markets have limited space, and the good ones are going to make sure there aren't too many businesses from the same product category. So the earlier you can get into the right shows, the better chance you'll be successful. And it doesn't hurt to have a little extra time to get together all of those necessary resources and strategy plans so that the actual process of working the markets is a little less stressful. You might also want to start talking to your biz friends about potential collaborations you can do for the holiday season, whether that's swapping email shoutouts, doing a joint gift guide. Maybe you want to host a live virtual shopping event or create a bundle of your products that you each sell on your website. Start brainstorming now so that you can market it really well when the time comes. There is nothing worse than a half-assed marketing campaign that feels like a waste of time because you didn't do it well enough to get the results you wanted. And yes, I am speaking from experience here. The summer sales slump is also a great time to focus on building out or ramping up your wholesale program. Are there any new retailers you want to pitch, or do you need to start researching them? Do you need to get your line sheets together for your holiday products or get your products added to Faire? According to Faire's data, Christmas searches on the platform start to pick up noticeable steam in June, with about 4,000 searches throughout the month. In July, it jumps to about 19,000 searches, 37,000 in August, and it continues to rise month over month until it reaches its peak of over 125,000 searches in October. Fair Market is happening in July too, which is a prime time for getting in front of new retailers. The sooner you can get those holiday products up and your listings optimized, the more opportunity you have to get in front of new buyers. Even if they're not ready to place an order with you right away, they're gonna bookmark their favorites and come back when they're ready to finalize their holiday assortments. And retailers do start booking orders this early. So if you usually find yourself scrambling at the end of the summer to get these items up, I would reprioritize that to at least get them live by July. If you want to see Faire's full report on how searches stack up throughout the year, the link is going to be in the show notes. If you have a gift-ready item, then you might also want to think about pitching holiday gift guides this summer. Not only are holiday gift guides a great way to get new eyeballs on your business, it's a great way to add some legitimacy to your brand. Pitching for print publications starts in June and July, with digital outlets accepting pitches later in the year. No matter which direction you're going to go, there's a bit of prep and research you have to put in up front if you want to be successful. You'll want to make sure your product images are up to snuff, your website is optimized, and that you've got an affiliate program on one of the big platforms for those publishers to join, especially if it's a digital one. And no, they're probably not going to join the separate affiliate platform that you have set up on your website. They just want you to be on one of the ones they're already a part of. If this is something that you want to explore, you need to get started sooner rather than later, and there's resources in the show notes to help you do that. Unsurprisingly, the majority of what we talked about today was in relation to getting Q4 ready. But what if holiday isn't a big selling season for you? Should you still work on your business this summer? Well, that depends. If summer is your biggest selling season, then no, probably not. In that case, you should use Q4 to work on your business and start prepping for the new year. If neither holiday nor the summer is your busy selling season, that's the kind of business I can't even think of off the top of my head, then I recommend you start preparing for whenever your busy season is, or focus on some of the more foundational things like your website, email, maybe even your back-end systems and processes. Only you'll know for sure what your priorities are. No matter what you're going to be working on this summer, if you want some extra support along the way, come join me in the Lounge membership. With all the training, live calls, and guest coach support, we're here for you and can hold your hand along the way. And if you need help knowing what you should be working on and when, our quarterly planning workshops were made for you. They're week-long workshops with 2 live calls to give you clarity on your next steps and make sure you're always on the right track. We'd love to have you there. And that, my friends, is a wrap on today's episode. If you found this helpful, would you do me a solid and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and let me know? I would so appreciate it. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you on the flip side, friend. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at ecommercebadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to the Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at ecommercebadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.